everybody I know is trying to find ways to make their quadcopters lighter, because lighter quadcopters fly better. Okay, there is such a thing as too light of a quadcopter, but most of our quads, like most of ourselves, are heavier than maybe they ought to be. And that is especially true if you carry a GoPro. Like this thick boy, the GoPro Hero 10, coming in at, oh my God, 153 grams. So we struggle with the compromises involved with losing weight. Mostly it's a reduction in durability. But I've got a way today that you can reduce the weight of your quadcopter by 35 grams or maybe more if you got a thick boy Hero 10. And it's not going to reduce the durability of your quadcopter at all. And it only costs $7. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. This little doohickey here is the subject of today's video. This is the iFlight GoPro auxiliary power adapter. And the way it works is you take your GoPro and you take the side door and the battery out of it. And for the GoPro Hero 10, that is going to save you 39 grams. And for a GoPro Hero 8, which has a smaller battery and a slightly smaller battery door, that's going to save you 35 grams. And if you've ever tried to save weight on your quad, you know that at the beginning there are a few big things you can do to save large amounts of weight. Choosing a 125 gram frame instead of a 145 gram frame, boom, you just saved a big chunk of weight. Choosing motors that weigh 33 grams instead of 38 grams, boom, you just saved a big chunk of weight. Choosing a battery that weighs 180 or 190 grams instead of 220 grams, boom, you just saved a big chunk of weight. But once you knock those 2 or 3 big chunks of weight off, now you are in a battle of inches. And you're doing things like saving 3 grams over your whole build by using titanium screws. Or you save 3 grams here, 2 grams there, and eventually you manage to save another 20 grams maybe, but it is such a hassle. So when I say that you can save yourself 35 or 40 grams whoosh, right now, that's a big freaking deal. So the way it works is you plug the USB into the USB port on your GoPro, and then you take the balance connector of your battery and you plug it into this balance connector here. It works on 4S to 6S, and I'm kind of confused because I'm 99% sure the GoPro is running on 4.5 or 5 volts, so I don't know why it wouldn't work on 2S or 3S, but that's what they've done. And then this is a voltage regulator on board that outputs the voltage required by the GoPro, and then the GoPro runs off your battery. Just like so. Boom, it's running. Now, you may already be thinking that there are a couple downsides of this method, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't spell them out for you. The first and most obvious one is that your GoPro is now no longer waterproof. I know people who have crashed GoPros in the frickin' ocean, saltwater. Their quadcopter was done, but their GoPro still had its footage on it and still worked. GoPros are just that good. This is not gonna survive that kind of treatment. The other thing that you'll notice is that your SD card is now hanging out here, and technically the battery door doesn't keep the GoPro. I mean, it might help a little. It's got like some foam here, and I think that's designed to help hold things in. But I've had SD cards come loose inside the camera, and it corrupts the file. You lose the last 10 seconds or so of the file. But in this case, if the SD card comes out, it's gonna potentially just be lost forever, which of course is a downside. Wire management is another downside of this method. So I want to show you how I have wired it up to help keep things, basically keep things out of the props. So I'm going to just start with the battery loose, and I'm going to go ahead and plug this in, and I'm going to plug it into the balance connector. Now, I actually fly with rubber bands holding my balance connectors in place. So I have a giant bag of big, thick, whatever rubber bands, number 64 rubber bands. And what I do is, when I finish charging the pack, I put the rubber band on like so, holding the balance lead out of the way. And then when I'm done flying the pack and I take it off the quad, I just real quick, this is almost second nature to me at this point, I turn it this way. So the balance lead is loose, and that's my sign that the battery is discharged and not full. So it's a little full discharge indicator as well. Man, it's still got some tension on there. I kind of don't like that. What if we just shuffle this over a little bit? Oh yeah, that's going to work great. There we go. Now there's barely any tension on it. We certainly don't want to tug it or pull it or tear it. In fact, we could even go a little further, like so, if we really wanted to. There we go. So now the wires are just fine, and then we're going to just put the battery straps on. And I like to put the wires under the battery strap so they're held out of the way. Just like so. And now that is up out of the way. It's not going to get caught in the props. It's not tight or it's got no tension on it. It's not going to pull or tug. I mean, obviously a branch could pull it or something. You can't guarantee, nothing will go wrong, but it is well secured and ready to go. And then when you finish the flight, you do have to be a little bit careful as you're taking the battery off that you don't tug it. You could just unplug it from the GoPro. Make sure you finish your recording. Yeah. If this comes unplugged in the middle of a recording, you're going to lose the last 10 seconds of the recording or so, and the GoPro will have to recover the file. So don't forget to stop recording before you unplug it. And if it comes out in the air, there's nothing you can do about that. You're going to be screwed. Now there is another potential downside to this thing, and it goes back to how this freaking thing works. When I first saw this, I assumed that what it was doing was just pulling voltage from the first cell, from cell number 1, which is always going to be between 3.0 and 4.2 volts. And I guess I figured it was stepping it up to 5 volts, or I don't know what it was doing, but I assumed it was just pulling from the first cell. Otherwise, how could it work with the balance connector where sometimes you'll have a 4S, 5S, or 6S? The problem with that would be that it would drain your cell number 1. So if you're just sitting there with the GoPro running for a long time, you'll end up with a dead cell number 1. Your battery will be out of balance, and that's no good. But as I look at the circuit, I'm actually not sure whether that's true, and I think we need to do some experimentation. So we're going to go ahead and just start a recording here on the GoPro Hero 10. And at this point, we are drawing current from the battery, and we're going to get out my good old clamp meter. And I doubt we're pulling more than 2 amps, so we'll put it on the 2 amp setting. And let's see, first of all, how much current is this pulling in total? It is pulling about 1 amp. Now, we go to the balance lead, and we're going to find out where that current is coming from. So I'm just going to grab the second wire here, because the first wire is going to be ground. No current flowing. Third wire. No current flowing. The current has to be coming from somewhere, right? Kirchhoff's law. Is it Kirchhoff's law? Oh, there we go. I got 0.2 amps on this wire. That doesn't make sense. We can't have an amp here. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up. Where is the rest of the current? Of course, it's a voltage. It's the voltage. It's pulling 1 amp at 5 volts. This is the output of the regulator. It's pulling 1 amp at 5 volts, and so we are getting 0.25 amps here and here on these 2 wires. That is exactly right. So it is, in fact, pulling from the pack as a whole, not from any individual cell. We are only seeing current on these outer 2 wires, the high wire and the ground wire, and not any of these inner ones. So that's good. That's the takeaway. That's good. It means it is going to drain your battery, but it is not going to kill one of your individual cells. And if it is pulling 0.25 amps, that is not that much, right? Like, let's do the math. So if we've got a, what is this, a 1,000 milliamp hour, 1,000, that's going to make the math really easy. 1,000 milliamp hours is 1 amp hour. That means it can deliver 1 amp for 1 hour, or it could deliver 0.25 amps for 4 hours. I don't even need a calculator. So you could run this GoPro for 4 hours before running this battery all the way down, theoretically. Anyway, this is not a perfect solution for everybody, for the reasons we went into. Durability, getting your wire chopped, your battery chopped. My God, if you do decide to use these, have some batteries with you and a battery door, especially if you're like a professional, because if you break this and then you can't use your GoPro for the rest of the day because you just chucked this stuff out and thought you'd never need it again, you're going to look like a dummy. But this is $8. iFlight makes it and sells it, and it is absolutely, I've been trying it out because I'm like, let's save some additional weight. Let's get my, 720 gram quad down to 690 grams. And I'm liking it. The first time I ruin a GoPro because it wasn't waterproof, I'm going to cry and go to Best Buy and just get another one. So I guess it's not that bad. Link in the video description it's an affiliate link, probably. I'm going to make like 3 cents off of this because it's not that expensive, but hey, sign up for my Patreon, right? If you value this content. Link in the video description. Happy flying. What are you doing in here? The least you could do is subscribe or join my Patreon, or like, just here's another video I picked out for you. Jeez.